Sean.
Hello. I have items C and U on the consent agenda. Do you have any questions? I know I'd emailed a little bit more detail on that. Any questions? Are we ready to ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
Shayna, the energy efficiency and conservation block grant, yes, that's good, but is that 100%? Will we have?
We would just have the 76,000 to spend, and that's, if we go over, that's on us, so we'll try to keep it under the 76,000.
And is that the maximum we can ask for?
Yes, we did an informational sheet, earlier last year, and they went ahead and allocated that amount to us, so we're not able to, ADECA does have, some grant funds that we're not able to apply for because we are getting a direct allocation.
Okay, so that's what this is?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have an idea how much it's gonna be, the total cost?
76,000.
I mean,
For the
total-
project.
It just depends on, I mean, we can use it for charging stations, HVAC, retrofit, so it just depends on.
different.
And so we'll just use it until it's gone? Okay.
Anything else?
If we had a question like that, whether it's reimbursable, we pay for it and then get reimbursed, or we get the money up front?
It is a voucher, grant, so we will apply to, using their voucher program that they've got.
Another question, thanks. Mr. Metcalf.
I'm Darrell Miller. We had spoke earlier with the secretary about sharing our time there. I'm Darrell Miller. I'm a resident of Florence. I'm also the business manager for IBW Local Union 558, which we represent all these hardworking men and women all through here. My concern today is the House Bill 436 that has been introduced by Representative Ben Harrison and Representative Philip Pettis. It's in the Alabama House of Representatives now. The bill proposes an amendment to the Constitution of Alabama to create a Lauderdale County Electric Board, to provide for the members of the board to transfer all duties, assets, employees of the City of Florence Electricity Department to the board, and to provide for the operation of the distribution system for electricity in Lauderdale County. Right now, I understand this is a pending committee, it's pending committee action, so it sounds like it's stalled out right at the moment. Now, I would like to know how the council feels about this, this bill, and going from a Florence municipality into an electric board. How will it affect the employees that are already on the that are working here? There's a reason for this bill to be presented, and I'm assuming that there's plenty in the county that are not happy. And I just wonder why there is not why the city and the county can't sit down and meet and come to an amicable resolution, and have it both ways instead of changing the Constitution of the state of Alabama. Of course, I do know that there's a lot of safety concerns anytime we're talking about electric work. You gotta make sure that everybody's safe. There's a lot of downtime in that transition, and it concerns me for the safety of it. And I would just like to know your thoughts on it right now.
I've scheduled a meeting with Mr. Pettis Thursday morning.
Okay?
I believe the same thing you do. The only way we can solve it, sit down and solve it.
Right. Well, that's I'm assuming that everybody was kind of hit blindsided by this.
Yeah,
Same as
absolutely.
me.
It was a shock, to me, and I did have an opportunity to sit with them and hear things that I'd never heard before. And my question to them is, why haven't you already sat down and talked with us about this? And we need to sit down and talk. I'm with you, and I'm a hard no on supporting, this bill. And, I can tell you, I'm gonna do everything in my power to work with the county commission to avoid this, to see what we can do to, not go this route. There's a better way to do it, but we gotta be communicated with. I had no idea there were any issues going on until Mr. Pettis shared them with me about 10 days ago, I guess.
Right, IBEW's been in favor of electric board for several years, which my colleague, he will expand on that a little bit, but, there's gotta be a disconnect somewhere in there, and we've gotta get that disconnect back to where everybody gets representation throughout it. Now, I'm not saying anything's being done the wrong way. I will say that, there's some unhappy citizens in the county, otherwise they would not be introducing this bill.
You're right, there's some legitimate, concerns there, but if you don't know about them, you can't address them. And, we're finding out what those are, and, I'm just hoping that we can all sit down together and figure out a better way forward than what's presented.
Well, I spoke with several of those last night, and they're willing to, so like you said, Philip Pettis was gonna speak with you. What day was that?
Thursday.
Thursday, okay. I'm gonna relinquish the rest of the time to, my colleague, Roderick Metcalf.
Thank you for coming today, Mr. Miller. I know that our city attorney, who's very interested in it and opposed to it, is gonna do a resolution for us, for the whole council to, sign, I believe, to get them ready.
Chairman Jordan, Council, I want to thank y'all this evening for allowing us to come and speak on behalf of these fine men and women of the Florence Electric Department. Like Brother Miller said, we're here because of that House Bill 436. It's very concerning. It's been introduced as a congressional amendment for the Lauderdale County Electric Board. And we're not here to debate this bill. We're not here to take sides with the county commission, nor with the city council. What we're here to do is say that we've been at this since 1979. Our records show that we want the city council to appoint an electric board. Our employees need a board. The city of Florence needs a board to oversee this matter that is going on in the city of Florence. Boards have not been anything new. They go back to biblical times in the book of Acts, when the Grecian widows were deprived of their daily distribution. The disciples, or the council, so to speak, said, choose you out amongst yourselves some members to oversee this matter, because they didn't have time to wait on tables. They were neglected. And people in the city of Florence electric departments feeling neglected. In the county, that we cannot get quick, decisive answers. The board and commission is necessary. It's a necessary act for us here today, that you all be proactive and not have to be any legislative acts. We've been at this a long time. It makes things much more better for the board, under a board for the electric department, for management, for the citizens who run an electric department under a board. The majority of our people that we represent are under boards. An electric board for the city of Florence should be placed, it would make things public, it would be better for public interest. It will formulate policies, establish long and short-term objectives. It will move the department from political influence. These guys are in limbo about their insurance. They're in limbo about their retirement, because we find out this is almost a hostile takeover. Our lives are more important than TVA strongly recommends that we have electric boards to run the methods and municipalities of power systems. Under a power board, the board members could devote their efforts and their directions to the electric system and not have themselves involved in other activities. Y'all are building parking decks. You're opening walkways on the river. You're annexing St. Florence. We need somebody just to watch us in our daily operations with the board. Because of transmission and distribution lines, these things, America is growing. Electricity is the future. I haven't been in this job long, a little over a year. And on April the 4th of last year, I got a complaint from the meter readers of Florence Utilities. They were wanting to go to AMI training. And if you don't know about AMI, it's coming. And it's coming to the Florence Electric Department. Some of the people in customer service had already been to a training class. So I began a campaign to call and to email Ms. Freedom about these classes. After a week of not hearing anything, I got an email from the attorney, Mr. Musgrove, saying that I needed to direct all of my questions to him. Long story short, after 6 weeks, he finally answered my phone calls and emails. And he said to me, Mr. Metcalf, and I quote, 2 customer service employees went to the General Media Reading School in Auburn, Alabama, but no employees have had AMI training. If and when the city begins to transition to AMI, the meter readers will be trained at that time. 2 sentences took 6 weeks. You cannot run a department efficiently with that. Last year on June 9th, Mr. Jamie Doe filed paperwork for a pay discrepancy in the electric department. I have sent emails, I have made phone calls. The answer has to come from the mayor, according to the contract. It has to come from the mayor. Until this day, we have not resolved that. No answer. People feel neglected. We need somebody to see after these matters immediately. Currently, there are 23 boards in the city of Florence. 7 of them are inactive. 16 of them, starting with some of the older ones, the Housing Authority Board, the Civil Service Board. There's also there's an Industrial Development Board, a Planning Board, a Zoning Board. In Florence, there are boards and commissions for tourism, CETA for development, the Port Authorities, Historical Preservation, 2 boards for the library, 1 in the city and 1 in the county, 2 boards that deal with mental health and disabilities. There's a beautification board. Also in Florence, there's a tree commission. Even the trees have a board in Florence. We need a board. We need a board here to oversee these important matters. And if that's not enough, there's an agribusiness and farmers market. Not just the trees, but the tomatoes and the squash got a board. We need to oversee this thing. The okra's got a board. We need a board. In closing, earlier this year in March of this year, I attended Washington, D.C. at a LAMPAC meeting. LAMPAC is Labor, Management, and Public Affairs Committee. This committee brings together congressmen from Washington, D.C. It's put on by Edison Electric. Some of the largest utilities in the country attends this meeting, along with the IBEW. We meet to do what we can to come together to provide and deliver dependable electrical power to the United States. During that meeting, it was forecast that by 2040, and I know you think that's a long way off, but I can remember when I thought 2024 was a long way off. but just a few more birthdays and some grandkids, and you'll be there. 2040, they're saying that America will increase its power by 80%. We're going electric, 80%. The transmission lines that we have in America today will have to be 4 times as many. Your TVA lines, 4 times by 2040. Your distribution lines here in Florence have to be 10 times more by 2040. It's coming. It's coming a day. We need you to be proactive and see not just what's going on today, but what's coming in the future. When your new quarter-only meters downtown are going to be EV chargers. And these guys and ladies will be the ones installing them for you. They shouldn't be nervous about their future with this company. They've labored hard here. We need a board. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
When you speak of a Florence electrical board, do you foresee the members being from Florence or taking in some county members also?
Based on what we met with them, I would suggest that you have at least 2 from the county for their interest. But the city could have a 5-member, 7-member, most of them are odd-member boards. But I do feel like after talking to the county commission and those state representatives last night, that they want some representation because you serve not only the city, but all of them. They're our customers. These guys know all of it. A lot of them live in the county. And they want the same service that we enjoy in the city limits. So yes, I would advise us to get some county representation.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Anyone else? If not, we're, see what we have, man.
I'd like to also comment on House Bill 436. The City of Florence has operated the electricity department for 88 years, since 1936, and serves over 52,000 customers in Lauderdale County. We have had no input in the drafting of the proposed constitutional amendment, HB 436, and believe that it is badly flawed. If the city's entire electric system were to be taken over from the city and transferred to the purported board, we are concerned that it would be harmful to our electricity department employees and their retirement benefits, and harmful to the citizens of Florence and Lauderdale County in general. Furthermore, many services and expenses of operating the electricity department and electric system are currently split with city's gas department, water and wastewater department, and its general fund. If the electric system were transferred to the purported board, then the board would be solely responsible for the services and expenses. This would almost certainly lead to increased electricity rates for every citizen and business in Lauderdale County. As mayor, I want our electric department employees to know that I staunchly oppose HB 436. I do not believe it is in the best interest of our hardworking and talented electricity employees, nor is it fair for them to fear their jobs and retirement are in peril due to a legislative bill crafted behind our backs. The Lauderdale County Commission initiated this attempt at taking the city's electricity department without my knowledge or approval. I will do everything in my power to protect the city of Florence Electricity Department and their employees. Thank you.
Thank y'all for coming tonight, and we'll.
Can I say something right quick? Sure. I too was blindsided by this. I don't think any of us knew it was coming. But I do want to thank each and every one of y'all for what y'all do. I know y'all do work in some dangerous situations and storms and try to get people's power back on, and sometimes people are probably not too kind to you because the power's out, they're ticked off, and y'all are not trying to get it fixed. But I do want to thank y'all for what y'all do. This electric board is kind of new to me. I want to maybe talk to Mary or somebody more about it, get some more information on that. I will say I am also opposed to this House bill. It's not a good thing for our city, for y'all. And I think it's very important that we protect our most important assets, which are our employees, which are y'all, as far as salaries and retirements and that type of thing. So, again, thank y'all for what you do, and we're gonna do everything we can to try to protect y'all. Thank y'all.
I have one quick question. Our neighbors across the river in Collier County, their utility companies have electric boards over there?
They do.
How do they operate, or are you only over here?
No, we all, every one of our municipalities and co-ops have boards. Everyone, Tuscany has an utility board. Muscatine has an electric board. Sheffield has a utility board also.
Okay.
Even as far away as Russell, Franklin County Co-op, Joe Wheeler Co-op, all of them have boards.
Okay, thank you.
Again, I want to thank y'all for coming out. We've had several meetings, and everyone that up at this, it's not I, it's we, all of us are opposed to this bill 436, and we'll discuss, have no more discussions about the board. So, but again, we appreciate you coming and showing your concern and opposition to this bill 436, which I assure you that the entire council is opposed to that 436. Again, we'll get together as a council and discuss the pros and cons, if there are any pros, and but we'll be glad to sit down together as a council and get back. Anyone else? Again, thank you for coming. Oh, we've got several items that y'all are welcome to discuss. Brian, you got it.
Two items, these are budget items repairs that we are getting around scheduling. First one, we're looking at a contract with Ground Guys. This is to fix some drainage issues in the front of Pope's Tavern Museum. Got some downspouts that are moving right in front of the porch, and basically what this is going to do is create a French drain system that'll take that water that's coming down from the downspouts and move it off of the front of the porch there. If you've been there lately, there's a big kind of a gully that's been formed over years. This will repair that as well and provide some drainage around the entire perimeter of the building.
Any questions? No.
Next one is repairs. This is for a ceiling repair at the KD Arts Center. A few weeks ago, we had the HVAC system repaired in that space. That replaced an old faulty HVAC system that had been leaking. The leaks created an unstable ceiling situation, so we addressed those in the order that we needed to. This will hopefully prevent this ceiling from collapsing.
What is it over there in the center, Brian? Like, it's over
Office space, restroom, and collection storage space.
Oh, okay, so it's sort of in that back corner.
Yes, sir. Sorry. Yes, ma'am. Upstairs.
That's okay. I don't have my boot on today, but yeah. And I mean, are we talking like you had to replace flooring, drywall, paint the ceiling, structural?
It is plaster and paint.
Okay, so it was pretty severe.
Yeah.
No one got hurt, did they?
No.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, David Coons, Solid Waste Street and Recycling. Two things on the agenda this afternoon. The first one is a contract with Metro Service and Equipment Company, Inc. to certify our underground storage tank at the landfill and report the findings to ADM. This is the safety overflow valves, monitoring equipment and all that. They come yearly and certify that it, and report it to the state to keep us in compliance with trust fund requirements. Are there any questions on that?
No expectation of issues.
No, everything passed. That's
So
what
it's
you
done?
want. Yeah, it's done
Okay.
for a year. Second item is, global fire sprinklers, to repair, number 1 and 2 check valve and backflow preventer at the recycle center.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Raymond Duff Electricity Department. I have 2 items on the agenda. Item O is an agreement with Allegiant Utility Services. We bid this service out to be the contractor to set all of our AMI meters for us. And they won the bid at $19.35 per meter. And there's a total cost, this will be paid out of our 2023 bond issue that we did last year. And it's approximately $940,000, depending on the meter count that we have at the time, so it could be plus or minus that.
Did it come in where you expected it to?
It actually came in less, we expected around $1 million, so it came in a little less than we expected.
And they're gonna set those meters?
They're gonna take all the 2S, all the house meters and general service meters. We'll do all the more advanced meter, but they're just gonna do about 48,000 meters is what they're gonna set for us.
Just 48,000?
Just 48,000.
So this will be, they'll take the, they'll do the process start to finish, cause I know it's in
Yes.
phases, so they will do every phase.
Yes.
And what will you do with the old meters that are taken from homes?
So we will keep them, or we have to keep them for 3 months, that's like a TVA policy in case we have some issues come up with people's readings or whatever, and then after that, they will actually have them they'll take them and have them disposed, but we'll probably just get prices on who would be willing to pay us the most for them. And some people have actually asked us if they could buy some from us, cause they haven't gone to AMI yet, and they would like to buy some of ours, so. But otherwise, they'll be destroyed by a company.
Gentleman mentioned training on these meters. Is that gonna take place, or?
So they're actually in training this week, working on it. We have a group, our meter lab will be the ones that, will be handling the process for us on our side for the meter exchanges and putting all the infrastructure in, and they actually have training this week on it, so.
How are you communicating this to residents?
So, we're gonna do a couple of different things. We're going to, when we start setting meters, we're going to send out little, mail outs in their bills. And hopefully by that, we won't have this the first round, but for phase 1, but hopefully when we start phase 2 in the fall, we'll have our text power system set up, and we'll be able to text all of our customers that it affects, plus we'll do mail outs, we'll do both. And, we'll probably share a map on Facebook too, and on our website, the kind of areas that we're working on. So we're gonna try to do multiple ways to share that.
As a reminder, where's phase 2?
So phase 1 is, phase 2 is the rest of it. So phase 1 is just Creekwood, Forest Hills, Heathrow, up Savannah Highway is phase 1. And then phase 2 will be the rest of the county. And so we'll just select different routes that we're gonna do at a time.
Wheaton Heights is not in phase 1?
Not in phase 1.
I kinda figured that.
Well, we wanted industrial, so the industrial part, we really want the industrial part in phase 1, cause that's we wanna make sure we get those set and they're properly working, and so that was kind of our big area that we wanted that to be in phase 1, so we kinda did everything around that.
I just encourage you said you were gonna do multiple ways of communication.
Yes.
We have been beaten bloody recently over communication.
Mm-hmm.
Please, do not fail to communicate with our public.
Understand.
Thank you.
We agree with you completely, so we try our best, yes. Any other questions about that?
When will it start?
We're hoping to start in May, but it's probably gonna be June before we start phase 1 now. Yep. Yep.
Do your residents know?
Yeah, Blake's gonna get the majority, and I guess Jimmy, you'll have some of it too, a little bit of it. phase one.
And none in Wheaton Heights.
None in Wheaton Heights. You're safe.
And
You
they-
might, you might have some too.
And they will be notified.
Norwood is a little bit of that may be involved too, so.
They will be notified.
Yes, they will be, yes.
Well, if you're gonna put them in the, you said perhaps you were gonna notify in the statements, and if you do it in May, when statements have already gone out, so.
Well, we haven't got meters or phase one meters in yet, so until we get the meters, we don't wanna send out a notice. So that's why we're looking at probably June first before we do it,
Okay.
before we get started.
That way, if you do June, you can get
Yes,
them in.
we can get them in the statements, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, second item, P, is a contract with Noble Crane and Riggin for 18-10-15, and this is, we paid out of budget funds. This is for doing our yearly maintenance on our two overhead cranes one is in our garage and one is in our transformer shop. So this is our contract to do our annual crane inspections. Any questions about that? Okay, thank you.
Gary.
Good afternoon. I'm Gary Williamson with the Building Department. I had one item D on the consent agenda. It's a resolution to enter into a contract with Professional Fire and Security for our annual testing and inspection of the fire alarm system here in City Hall, in the amount of $1,235.
Is this a different company than we've used previously?
No, ma'am.
Not global?
Not global. This fire alarm system was installed in the mid-90s, I guess, and it's got some proprietary equipment in it, so we kind of have to use professional fire. But they're the ones we call if we have an issue with it.
So, do we still maintain, and this is a point of clarification, it may be better, Gary, for the mayor to answer this, but do we still maintain this knowing that it's a county building?
No, this is for our building.
This is this building?
This is this
Okay.
building, I'm sorry, yes. It's our building, and it's an annual required test and inspection.
Yes, thank you. I was thinking that one, so that was good clarification, thank you.
Okay,
Would
sure.
you please wait and not leave? I do need to visit with you after the work session, please.
Okay.
Thank you, I
Thank you.
appreciate it. So sorry, my apologies, I need your help.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Frank.
Good evening, I'm Frank Council with the Cemetery Department, and I'm here, we're wanting to enter, it's item E, and we're wanting to enter into a contract with Matthews Tree Service for the removal of 30 trees on a hillside on the east side of the property. And,
Why?
well, they're invasive and they've, this is a 3-phase project that's budgeted for this year. We're gonna have the trees removed. The next step of the project, we're gonna have, junipers put up there, kinda like memorial side on the other side to control erosion. And then the final stage is gonna be to repave the entire drive within there. Because the pines are eroding the driveway, and if we just do we'll just throw money against the wall, otherwise. So this is kind of phase one on a 3-stage project for this year that's budgeted.
Will the 30 trees take down all the problem trees, or will
Yes.
there be,
No,
that's it?
that's it.
They've been identified, they're ready to go?
Completely, yes.
How will you dispose of the wood? Is that up to the contractor?
The
to do that?
contractor's gonna remove and pay, everything will be taken care of by the contract.
And do you expect like the junipers and the rest of it to happen this year, or is that?
Yes,
something-
that's kind of a sensitive thing there, number one, the number of junipers. And that will move on into the fall, probably around October, November, because that's the time, as I've been told by the specialist, that's the time to plant them, because we don't actually have irrigation there. So in order to get the 1-year warranty on the trees and for them to really establish, that's the process. Then the final process will be the paving, and that'll probably work on into whenever we can get that done. I think that has to be done on warmer days, so maybe in the spring, something like that.
Thanks, Frank.
You're
About
welcome.
the pine trees,
Excuse me?
A lot of pine trees.
A lot of pine trees. They're old yellow pines and they're huge. And like I say, they're just.
They'll tear up your drive.
They will, and we've kind of put a Band-Aid on, maybe a Band-Aid on is a term 10 years ago, I guess, and just kind of had the driveway ground down where the roots were up, but it's like nature's speed bumps right now. I mean, you need a four-wheel drive to get back there practically, and it's a sensitive site, you know, this is something that's long overdue.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It looks like to me that almost all the trees have been cut on the east side.
Now, Mr. Jordan, that's actually not the hillside completely east. It's on the east half of the property, but it bears, like if you're over on Plum Street or in the back of around St. Joseph and you look back into the cemetery, that's where you'll see the stand of trees. So it's an east-bearing hill, but it's not the eastmost hill. The one on that faces back west that's completely to the east, we don't have any trees on that hardly at all, nothing. And so there's no problem on that side.
Thank you, Frank.
Yes, sir.
Mark.
Hi. Mark Lovejoy, Controller of Utilities. I have item F on the consent agenda, and it's a two-part contract with Certified Alarm. It's to do the security system, proximity readers, and everything in the amount on the new payment center. The amount of $18,132.85, and it also includes a $35 a month alarm monitoring fee. It's all for the new payment center.
Any questions? Thank you, Mark.
Nothing today, Michelle?
Yeah, actually,
Okay.
when is this gonna be done?
Hopefully in a couple of months. I think we got the electricity hooked up yesterday, and the builders say 3 weeks from that, and then we'll do our part, and hopefully mid-June or so.
Okay, we look forward to having, that online.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Melissa.
Melissa Bailey, Planning Director. I have three items actually, in order that they're on the work session. The first one is item 11J, which is a special economic assistance contract with Safari Salon. That page, if you're going through the memo, is gonna be the very last page in the packet. So is in the amount of $6,000, and just like the others that we've done, of course, all of the required paperwork has to be submitted in advance, including proof of payments for fixed costs that we are allowed to reimburse as part of this program.
Are the representatives of Safari in attendance tonight, do you know?
No, they're probably working.
Oh, they're an after-hour salon too?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
As in like after 5 p.m.?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Listen, from the time that one submits for this, how long does the process take before they're an answer?
Yeah, that's a good question. So generally, it's really up to the applicant how long it takes, because once they enter the portal, everything's done online now, which is great for businesses. So based on, you know, how busy they may be, you know, with their business or as, you know, just personal business, and also gathering the required paperwork. But what we do is once they create an account, we can follow along and see where they are in the process. Some of them complete the paperwork in just a couple of days, and getting everything uploaded. Some it takes a little bit more time. So that's the reason that we continue to do this program on a first come, first completed application basis, simply because the majority of the work that's done is on the side of the applicant.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And the types of things that they're uploading are things like their if they're incorporated or an LLC, their articles of incorporation. Also, if they own any property, ownership of that property, proof of any equipment that they may own in terms of like point of sale equipment. And then, of course, proof of payment of any of the reimbursable expenses, fixed costs that they may be asking for. So generally, we're looking at 2 to 3 months of those fixed costs, which can be utilities, rent, point of sale software, and other types of utilities like cable and internet service to help with that point of sale.
To Ms. Simmons' point, all of the questions for all of the applicants are the same.
Oh, identical.
So, right, so
Mhm.
they get in the portal, they answer the same questions, they have the same opportunity to do everything
Correct.
that anyone else does.
Right, they're uploading the same information. It really is it's a simplified process. It's really a matter of how quickly can they put their hands on the material. Because I would relate this to, we don't really care where our birth certificate is until we need it, or until you get ready to register a kid for school. And then it's, mayhem trying to find it. And some businesses, we've helped businesses that have been with us for over 100 years. And so, laying hands on some of this, not equipment, but laying hands on some of this paperwork can take some time, and they're running a business. So, we have businesses that have started the process, and they're still just sitting in the portal. And when we see that, we will call them and make sure that they don't need any help. We've had businesses that got stuck on a particular section, and so we'll have them come to the office, or we'll go to them. We really do try to make it as easy for them as possible. And by it being online, it doesn't have to be an 8 to 5 situation. When they're up at, if it's 9 o'clock at night or 3 o'clock in the morning, then they can work on the application at any time.
Thank you, Melissa.
Sure. So the other items that I have is a rezoning, so we're gonna have a public hearing for that, and then, under 9A, and then a subsequent vote, for the ordinance under 12. I'm pretty sure that's probably amended to 12B, because I think it was showing 2 letter A's there. So this public hearing, was recommended unanimously. It is on North Broadway Street in, District 3, Councilman Griffin's district. You have actually seen this case before. The applicant has added, what you saw before was 6 lots. The applicant added a 7th lot to their lot layout, and in doing that, we had to redo their zoning effort because of the way that the zoning and the lots are stacked into the development. And you can see that on the next to the last page in the packet. There's a site layout showing the different lots. So, so for this particular case, again, you've seen it before, but the applicant did want to add that 7th lot, and so he had to go back through the process to do that. Again, it was unanimous, and it's the only difference that you're seeing there is that 7th lot being added. I will say for those that are here and may not have been at the Planning Commission public hearing, the way that zoning is stacked in, as you move closer to the neighborhood, you're downgrading in zoning. So the more intensive commercial zones, the B2 zones, would be closer to the Office Depot area. And there's a car lot there, and there's some other commercial businesses there. It's completely escaping me, but
Greenway?
Yeah, Greenway.
yeah. So as you move what would be north, of, or north on Broadway toward Florence Boulevard, you'll have the more intensive business zoning. As you move south on Broadway toward the recreation center, it is less intensive and more conducive to, coexisting with the neighborhood.
Across from the church.
Across from the church.
We only have one on that street.
Again, it was unanimous by the planning commission. Any questions about the rezoning? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Chief, go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you. Greg Angus from the Fire Department. I've got a couple items here for consideration in Chief Anderton's absence. The first item is K, and it is to Barnett Plumbing. We had some sewage leakage out at station number 4 on Huntsville Road, and Barnett Plumbing had to come out, kind of an emergency deal there, and that was over our limit without bringing it to the council, so that's item K. Does anybody got any questions for me on that?
It's fixed. If it's emergent, it was fixed.
Well, we're having some trouble locating. We found out it wasn't from the station and it wasn't really coming from the sewer line, so I think we're still, maybe a work in progress, but we think we have it fixed, so we'll have to continue to monitor. The other one is item L. It's for handback masonry. This is for, if you've been to our training center, one of our facilities, we call it the burn building. It's where we actually do some fire training and smoke it up. It's actually a concrete and cinder block structure that's laid out like a house, and was built in the 70s, and it's never had any repair work, and it's one of the items that we're wanting to get back up and where we can utilize it 100% for training to get our guys, make sure they get the training that they need.
Is it not in use at all, Chief?
We can use it limited, but it's got like metal doors and windows on it that you can open and close to simulate, windows, and put smoke and a little bit of fire and heat in there. And a lot of those have rusted out. They don't operate properly. The cinder blocks have deteriorated over the years just from weather and the water we spray in there and the heat. And so basically the superstructure is still all there and it's in good shape. We just need to replace the cinder blocks that are on the exterior of the building and get those, and the doors and windows. So you noticed in this, we'd spent, I think, $30,000 already. That was for all the doors. When I say doors and windows, they're really all doors, but they're specially designed doors to fit those, and you open and close them like windows too. They're very, I guess, very structurally, they're well made. They can handle the fire and heat and endurance that we put them through. And so the masonry work is for handback masonry for $27,406, and he's going to come in and replace all of the deteriorated blocks and fix those and set all the new doors and windows so it's back functional like it should be. And that was part of our budget for 2024. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Bill.
Good afternoon. We have one item. It's an item to enter into a contract with Alliance Automation, and that is to provide and install a communication pump drive at the River Heritage Splash Pad. I had sent y'all some information on that, and the total amount is $19,600, and that includes fixing the one that's currently there to use as a backup.
Is this the second time this has been done?
I don't think on this particular one, no, sir.
Okay.
There's 8 drives in there, so this.
Last one cost a lot more.
Okay. I knew it had worked before, but I couldn't remember what.
For the benefit of those viewing as well as up here, just as a reminder, can you just remind everybody what that does?
Sure, I'm gonna read, what I sent y'all. It, of course, they're gonna repair the existing one to use as a backup. So this particular drive sends all the electrical currents to tell the pump what to do, and it's variable speed. It changes the water height that, you know, when it syncs to the music. This one was purchased in 2007, and this pump 4, which controls kind of straight across, will not work without this particular one. It protects the pump from overheating, over voltage, circuit protection, and overturning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill, before you leave, I just want to tell you thank you. Thank you for the handy project.
Sure.
And you'll hear more thank yous later. I just want to tell
Absolutely.
you why you're still standing here.
Thank you for saying that. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And I think that's what I've got next, is the handy rec center project. You guys maybe go forward with it? Okay. So resolution to approve a contract with Lambert Ezel Durham Architecture LLC to provide labor, equipment, materials, and incidentals necessary to provide architectural and design services for alteration to the existing locker room area at the Handy Rec Center to be paid for from budgeted funds. And this was the part that was originally not going to be done, but now this will round out the complete restoration of the Handy Center.
What prompted the change?
Where's Billy?
Right here.
Do you want to answer that question?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
She asked what prompted the change.
Well, this isn't really a change. What this is the locker room area that is not being utilized. This is to remodel that particular area.
Yes.
Okay.
But why? Why
Well-
did we add it?
Well, for two things, they're doing work on what's, you know, the part now. With the new director coming in, he's got some plans for that particular area to do some programming. And with the locker rooms being so big, they're not really usable for what we need right now. So therefore, since we're already doing what we're doing now, we decided to, now that we have a plan moving forward, to do that.
Will they be locker rooms afterwards? Can
No.
you tell us what they'll be?
Well, that's what this contract will do, will enable, you know, Lambert Ezel Durham to design something for us. There'll be rooms for programming, community rooms for tutoring and that kind of thing.
Okay, so it's a usable space,
Yes,
whereas
ma'am.
it wasn't used before, it will be usable now.
Yes.
And I didn't see an amount on item N.
Well, we won't have an amount until they give us a kind of a scope of work. So we'll have an idea of kind of a best guesstimate of what the projected bids might come in at, but we won't really know what the cost is until we send it out for bid and get it from that.
Perfect.
So we don't know what the increase will be on the project.
On the project.
Generally, what we would do is on something like this, when I get the bids back, I would take it back to the Park and Rec Committee and then take it to finance. That would be the normal, that's the way that it goes.
And will they be able to do this work while the other work is ongoing? So it's not the stop-start, you know, go right back into construction mode?
So that will
Pending
depend.
approval.
That depending on who bids and who gets the bid. If the current contractor gets it, they can probably move right in. Without that, we'll just kind of wait and see, really. Hopefully, yes, that would be the hope.
I'll give you an idea. I went and met, I guess Calvin was there, and who's the manager of the?
Jason.
Jason was there, and I went back to look at the space, and it's really horrible. I don't know why they did it first, but it was a big locker room. I think it had, something like, how many? 14 lockers. I guess everybody that worked there out of their own locker, but it completely gutted all that. There was water standing in about 3 feet deep, as far as I could tell, and they couldn't find out where it was coming from. So while they're in there doing the original bid, they said we can go ahead and complete this, make it a usable space. He said a lot of it's will be programming, which they really need over there if you go through it. But it was, and now was the time if you're gonna do it, you can can do it now, like it's all torn up, and it is. Come back and fix it rather than repair it, didn't have to come back. So, it's neat that I can assure you, I didn't think to it first, but it was.
No, yeah, these are
Yeah,
questions
that's
because we had
perfect,
a
yes.
lot of
We did.
conversation about the other, and
Yeah.
I know this was talked about that night very passionately. So I think it's important if this is being added and we are going through this opportunity, that we're providing workable, usable space, and that it's something that we can all be proud of having participated in, making available to the whole community.
Yeah, and that was, from the get-go, and I tried to make it clear then, the reason that we weren't doing the locker rooms because it was it was going to be done, number one, it's gonna be demoed a different way than the other stuff is demoed. It's gonna all be by hand and by wheelbarrow and taking the debris out and rolling it out instead of having machinery come in and do it. And there was no plan in place for well, we could tear it out, but what are we gonna do with it? Nobody knew until Jason came along, the new director, and had a very, very exciting plan for it. And so we're like, okay, while we're here, let's go ahead and take a look at it. So that's where we are now.
And I agree 100%, and I do think, I'm sorry, Ms. Sims, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, he said until Jason come along, it's always been plans and a desire to have programs at Handy Recreation Center, even when Nate was there, so that's nothing new under the sun right there.
It's all been neglected.
It has, and I just appreciate, there's no point in going backwards, we're going forward, and I just appreciate everybody's willingness to move forward.
I agree, and I think it'd be kind of be like remodeling a house and remodeling everything else, but leaving a couple of rooms that aren't, and they're really not usable for anything. There's probably 17, I think, or 14 showers that are not, probably never been used. So it's a very much needed with a very good plan, so.
No, it's exciting.
There's not that many showers in the Marriott. I mean,
That's a good question, and I wanted to go say.
Absolutely.
It's like it is.
Thank you.
First thing I'd like to share, I know we've still got some guys from the Florence Electricity Department. I just let you know that Mary invited us down last Thursday. Mr. Jordan and I went down to share our message with the employees and how we're standing firm on the issue. And we appreciate they're allowing us to be there. I mean, I know some of you have been there before for safety meetings, and they're always very gracious to us, and we certainly support what they do. I have a couple of items on the agenda. Item S is an amount of money, $5,000 for the Shows Storytelling Festival. This is an annual event that's become quite popular during the Arts Alive weekend, and if you haven't been, you certainly need to be a part of that. Any questions on that? And the second, I know we had an item on the agenda with Lambert Ezel earlier about the old parking deck, but item T is a contract to, as we move into our new payment center, we want to demolish the structure that's out there now, and that'll be a part of where the new city hall will be. So that's a contract to prepare and plan for that, which will happen hopefully soon after the payment center opens. Any questions?
City fire. Oh, good.
Good afternoon. I have two items on the agenda, or actually I have one item on the agenda and one that I'm requesting it be added. The first is an encroachment agreement, and when the grain bins were built down at the port and the co-op, one of the bins was built partially on a city sewer easement, and this agreement allows them to leave the grain bin obviously where it is, but but makes the company agree that if the grain bin interferes with the use of our sewer line, that they'll have to pay the cost of us to move the sewer line. So it's just it's really a title matter. I think another company bought the grain bins and the property that they're on, and I'm sure they had it surveyed when they did, and that's when this was discovered. So, and I've discussed it with Mr. Cole too.
We didn't know, Mr. Musgrove, before this?
I didn't know until they made us aware of it. But you know, there's not really, unless the sewer department had some reason to go down there and work on that line, you know, really it's not surprising that the city didn't know about it. So, but anyway, that's what that is. And then when the city deeded the Cox Creek Park to UNA, the intent of UNA was to continue to use the softball field, which at the time the UNA was leasing from the city, and to build a new baseball stadium down there. And plans have changed, obviously, with the new stadium plans for Pine Street, and so there's a restriction in the deed to UNA that limits the use of the Cox Creek Park property to construction of a baseball field and use for a softball field. And I have prepared a release, if the council approves it, to be recorded to allow UNA to use the property for any lawful purpose. And UNA plans to build a turf practice field at the location, and the mayor may have more details than that, but this was requested by the university.
What would that eliminate? Maybe the
old baseball field.
The baseball field initially was gonna be located on this property. It's now gonna be on Pine Street, and the facility they wanna build will be a turf field. And initially, it'll be a practice field for both soccer and football. And when the new stadium is built, it'll be a permanent band practice field.
Will that cover up the existing skateboard park?
No,
It has nothing to do with that property.
it's the old baseball field behind the softball field down here.
Okay.
And there was
On that side of the property,
That's right.
Cox Creek side, got you.
there was actually a playground there, and they committed to replacing that.
Thank you for saying that. That was about to be my next question, because of the playgrounds, which has been utilized quite a bit within that community. Was they gonna put one back?
That playground was in terrible shape, and they promised they would.
They're gonna restore, okay, wonderful, thank you.
Does UNA currently use part of that property for sand volleyball tournaments?
That's correct, yes.
And so that's not in the agreement at this point?
That's part of it.
Okay.
All that's part of it.
If the city council approves this release of the restriction in the original deed, then UNA can use the property for any lawful purpose. So this just removes the restriction, and that the UNA already owns the property, except for the skate park, which the city owns, and the parking lot and the office and the farmer's market is still owned by the city.
Is this gonna be regular agenda item C?
Is that what it'll be, Bob?
If approved?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, 12C.
12C. Thank you.
Mr. Metcalf, we're trying to get it ready for the okra and we're trying to get it ready for the okra and the squash.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bob Lighty, City Clerk Treasurer. I've got one item that's on the agenda and one that I'd like to add. They're both alcohol related. Alcohol beverage license application for the operation of a package store by McCoy and Company Incorporated, doing business as Cousin Spirits, located at 32 County Road 30 Florence, Alabama, sponsored by me. And then the one that I'd like to add is alcohol beverage license application for the operation of a full menu restaurant with on-premises liquor, beer, and wine by Little Mexico Grill 3 LLC, doing business as Little Mexico Grill 3, located at 804 West College Street, Florence, Alabama. This is the former Hollywood Inn location.
Rest in peace.
And they,
I miss it.
and they've asked, the reason we're adding it tonight is because they're trying to, they want to have a Cinco de Mayo celebration there, and that's coming up, and so.
So is it an event-based license?
No, this is,
Oh.
they're a
Okay,
regular
then-
restaurant
Okay, this is just trying to get it done prior to that.
prior to
Okay.
that.
And the owners are here.
And everything, I mean, everything's been approved on our side, well, pending your approval. We will not issue a license until the state ABC, when they issue the license on their side, so.
Question?
Any questions?
No.
All right, thank you all very much.
That's all we have on the agenda tonight. If y'all wanna work it, take about a 5-minute break and then we'll come back.